Hello, everyone. This is Beastly Eel here, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the latest episode of The Bad Batch. So we are on episode 4 of The Bad Batch, and this one was definitely a filler episode, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But let us talk about it because it does. With this particular filler episode, and we'll go into it further, it definitely pushes the character or knowledge about a specific character that's been around um, for most of the series. So anyway, the episode starts off with Wrecker, Tech, Omega, and Sid all at the place. Wrecker and Omega are playing like that virtual chess type thing with a bunch of monsters in it. I'm assuming it's futuristic chess, but do not quote me on that. But anyway, Wrecker thinks he's finally going to defeat Omega, and Omega beats him again, like she always does. So anyway, this goes on. Sid gets all PO'd because they're wasting her energy, and that she has a mission for them. Um, and basically, Omega and Wrecker are like, well, Hunter's not back yet, because I guess Hunter and Echo are on a separate mission. And their mission is to deliver goods to somebody else. So they're not back yet, and Sid's like, well, guess what? You're going to be coming with me regardless, and I need the three of you to come join me. So they really don't have much of a choice, and they go with her. What they find out is where she takes them is a planet where there's a lot of racing. So it's not pod racing, it's these types of vehicles that aren't really made for racing, but they soup up to make them able to race and everything else. It's very similar to pod racing from what we see in episode one of Star Wars, but it seems a little bit more advanced. So the tracks are all different. There's some death races, there's some obstacles and stuff like that, and anything goes. Um, so we see Sid talking about how she has this great racer, and he pretty much has beaten everybody so far, and she's thrilled, and they need her, she needs them there for protection. So the very first race, her racer wins without a problem. They find out that the racer is a droid, and Tech is very surprised by this. Now the droid is very Tao, I think his name is. I can't even remember now. That's awful, and I just watched it. But anyway, the droid is insulted by Tech, who was basically stating that only a droid could do this kind of stuff because they are able to figure out exactly what they need to do right from the get-go. And Tech's like, well, you need strategies. Like, you don't need strategy. You just need to figure out what you need to do right when you need to do it. And you need faster reflexes, which is why a droid is best. So, what happens next is Sid um, sees an old friend. Now, I use that phrase very loosely because it's somebody who she did business with back in the day. And they are not friendly. So they have a bet on the fact that she says her racer is far superior. So not only do they bet on who's going to win the race, they have a side bet going on who is the better racer. So as this goes on, and I know it sounds weird when I say that, but I think one's a legitimate bet and one's between just the two of them. So anyway, that being said, we move on. The race happens, and it turns out that that guy has more than one racer in the fight. And the two of them tag team and actually sabotage um, the droid's racer. The droid's racer crashes and pretty much explodes. It gets pretty badly destroyed, and so does the droid. So they go to try to put him back together. Um, the guy comes to collect his debt with Sid. Sid's like, she needs some time. The guy's basically like, you know what? I'm not wasting any time. You have the money now, or it's done. And so what happens next is Omega pretty much makes another bet, all or double or nothing. If they win, Sid is kept free and everything else, and they don't harm her. So the guy agrees, but the problem becomes, even though he agrees to it, he states to them that they will be racing tomorrow, one. But two, the other thing is that they will not be, um, or they will be keeping Sid with him for safekeeping in case they decide to run away. So they try to rebuild the droid, and they do, and the pod. It's not a pod, the racer. So what happens is they they rebuild it, and then he sabotages it when they're doing a test run and blows it up. And he basically is like, well, I guess, it's not a safe place around here. Anything can happen. Which, even though we don't see him actually sabotage it, it's very much insinuated. So anyway, they fix it up, and Tech actually decides to race for them because the droid is unable to be rebuilt anymore. And Sid sees this too, and she's like, "No, no, no, the droid can still race." And Tech's like, "No, I got this." So anyway, the next day comes. They rebuild the racer, and Tech is the one driving. And it turns out Tech uses strategy, outsmarts the drivers. They try to use the same method that they used on the droid in the last race, and he actually tricked them into using it on each other. They crash and explode, and those guys take off for the win. So Tech is the winner of that race. So that means Sid gets freed and everything else. Now, when they go to leave after getting Sid, the guy gives them some friendly advice. You three, wait a second. And so Omega, Tech, and Wrecker stay behind for a second, and they're like, "Well, what's going on?" Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Your loyalty is to be commended because most people would have just left. But just know this: Sid is not always one to reciprocate loyalty." And that's how the episode ends. So even though this was a filler episode, and we shouldn't be all surprised about this with Sid, but because they've been so close lately, we were very curious to. I was very curious to see how much she actually likes them. Is it more money, which shouldn't be all that much of a shock to me, and it's not. But I was wondering if they were growing on her. So he's basically stating that even though Sid's claiming she's changed from the last time she met with this guy or worked with this guy, um, he's basically warning them that Sid doesn't always have their wouldn't always have their back if it's not in her best interest. And again, like I said, I think this is huge foreshadowing that when the price goes high enough, I feel like Sid's definitely going to be willing to get paid to give information on the Bad Batch. But we don't know that for sure. We're going to have to wait and see. Definitely looking forward to the next episodes. Unsure of where it's going to go right now, only because of this episode and the way it ends. I have a feeling Hunter's not going to be thrilled that they went on a mission without him, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, um, let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? All that good stuff. And also, I'd like to add, for those of you who are listening in and watching this video, and you made it all the way to the end, congratulations. I wanted to let you know that my buddy and I have started a podcast. So what we're going to be doing is twice a month. Um, and on the 15th of each month and at the end of each month, we're going to be producing an episode talking about Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, talking about what's coming up, what's happened, and all that good stuff. The first episode has aired, and it is. I have a link in the description below. You can watch it on YouTube, or you can listen to it on Anchor. Um, but definitely think about it. If you like this, you'll definitely like that because at the end, we not only do we talk about the shows and movies that have come out, we also talk about obscure characters from DC and Marvel. It's always a good time. So, like I said, the first episode is out. Thank you very much. And as always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.